The Conversation Hour with Richard Feidler.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to the Conversation Hour. My guest for you this morning is known as the Greyman. Now, Greyman, it sounds kind of bland and uninteresting, doesn't it? Oh, no, no, no. The Greyman is a military term used by covert action forces, and it means someone who operates under the radar, someone who blends into the background. Today, I'm calling the Greyman John Curtis, although it's not his real name. John is an ex-Green Beret commando. He set up an organisation called the Greyman, which operates covertly in Thailand and Cambodia to rescue children who have been sold into child prostitution. The work is grim and dangerous, but as you might imagine, extremely satisfying. John Curtis, welcome to the Conversation Hour.
Good morning, Richard.
Why do we need to use a pseudonym for you?
Well, mainly because the people that we're dealing with up there are can be quite dangerous. There's a lot of money involved in trafficking. It's the third largest source of income for organised crime. And we are a threat to them. So if we retain a certain amount of anonymity, it limits our danger.
Child prostitution is number 3. What drugs and gambling?
Drugs and weapons.
And weapons. Mm. Tell me about the organisation, the Greyman, how it works. It's a charitable organisation.
It's a charitable organisation. We set up to basically rescue children in Thailand, particularly Thailand, because that's where we're operating most of the time. And what we do is we go into brothels, we take kids out. We also have prevention setups in the villages to prevent them from going in the first place. We support a lot of education and infrastructure in the ethnic minority villages. So we've got our finger in a lot of pies, and the covert side of it is just one aspect. I should point out that the operatives who are on the ground in Thailand are the covert side of it. The rest of the organisation is quite an open organisation. You know, we're a registered organisation here in Australia, and we have a secretary and a treasurer and a president and all that kind of thing.
You're involved in the I suppose the, I don't want to use the word exciting, but there's that aspect of what you do, which is
Sure.
kind of the exciting aspect of it. And then, as you say, there's I suppose the larger part of the organisation, which does less exciting but equally important work.
Well, that's right. And it's probably to some degree, in some ways, even more important because of the fact that we need to raise funds. We need to have a presence in the villages. We need to support education, a whole range of things.
John, the way you work is through stealth, hence the name, the Greyman.
That's right.
That's the way you prefer to operate, which makes a lot of sense rather than to go in, I don't know, and seek confrontation, which is obviously dangerous.
Exactly. You can't really hit what you can't see. So to give you an example, there's a woman in Cambodia, Somali mom. Now, she's rescued something like 3,000 children, and she was trafficked herself as a child. But she is high profile, well known. When she confronted some of the big guns in this, they actually hired a group of thugs who attacked her compound, destroyed part of it, took a whole bunch of the kids that have never been seen again. So we don't want that situation happening with us.
So to act covertly, you have to pose as a client quite often.
When I first went up there, I was going in as a pedophile, pretending to be a pedophile looking for younger children. And if we find them, then we'll pretend to be a client, pay the money, take them away, and have interpreters working with us to discuss that we want to get them out. Do they want to get out? Because not all of them do. And if they do, we will put them in a safe house, and then we will return them to their village or put them into government protection.
This is obviously a very fraught process, and a dangerous one too, John.
It can be. The way we do it, though, because we do stay low profile, the way we do it is relatively safe. I'd say low to medium risk most of the time. That will increase over time as we move into some of the other countries.
So you locate where these brothels are operating?
Yes.
And then you go in posing as a client?
Yes.
And hire the services of a child, and then you have to take them somewhere and tell them something very quickly then. Time is of the essence?
Yes, you usually got, half hour to an hour. And so I'll have people waiting at a hotel room. We'll go back there. They'll explain to them, because these children usually don't speak English.
So what do you say? What's interpreted and what's put to this child?
Well, we basically say, have you gone into this of your own free will? Do you want to be here? Do you want to stay there? Do you want to go back to your village? Do you want protection? A whole range of things. We have a questionnaire that we go through. And if they say yes, they do want to go back, we've got to understand that they're quite mistrusting of us, because they've already been trafficked by often their family or friends or strangers. They've been abused by men for a period of time. So we're just more of the same as far as they're concerned, until we can win them over. Now,
you're just another guy with another story.
Yeah, basically. So what we try and do is organise to meet up with them again if they're too suspicious the first time. And this may take some time to get their trust. And then if they're ready, we will get them out.
What age range are we talking about?
The ones I've come across mainly are about 12 to 15. But in Cambodia, it's much, much younger. They've even pulled out children as young as 5.
Why do parents often sell their kids into such situations?
The key element seems to be poverty. It's not always poverty, but it seems to be the major issue for it. The parents are trying to get by. Children seen as another mouth to feed, but they can make, say, anything from $500 US up for the sale of the child. But the way it really works is that often they're duped. Not always. Often they knowingly know what's happening, but they're often duped by middlemen who say, we can provide a job for your child in the city. They'll be able to send money back, all this kind of thing. And so they go, oh, great, child will have a future. We'll get some money back. All great. And then the child's taken away, ends up in a brothel. Usually takes 2 to 3 years to pay off what's considered a loan. That money is not actually paying for the child. It's like a loan to the parents, and the child's paying it off by servicing clients. And they have different ways of doing it, but usually there's a kind of voucher system. Every time they service a client, a voucher's taken out, and they have like a thick book. And once that book's completed, then they've basically paid off the loan.
I imagine one of the hardest aspects of trying to persuade these children to leave is the feelings that they have towards their parents. Many of them must feel horribly, horribly betrayed by their parents.
I think there's a certain, well, for some, yes, but I think there's a certain acceptance in Thai society, because they're Buddhist. The Thais are very accepting of a lot of negative things in their life. The Thai term is usually mai pen rai, which means, well, that's okay. Whatever happens, that kind of thing. So they seem to have an almost fatalistic view towards what's happened to them. And it's important that we get them out early, because if we can get them within 3 months, we've got a good chance of them being rehabilitated and getting them out easier. If they've been in for longer, they've kind of become accustomed to the lifestyle, to the to what's happened to them, and they don't think there's much future for them anywhere else.
I understand in some cases, children in that situation, particularly teenagers, young teenagers, often will be reluctant to go back, or sometimes be reluctant to go back, because they have feelings of shame too.
Well, that's another issue that comes up, and we won't send them back if they don't want to go back. We'll put them somewhere else, sometimes with other agencies, but